How can a bank prove that the money in its account belongs to the owner? I am a lawyer with an extremely high win rate. It can often send the opponent in. Perform normally, you can send the other party and their lawyer. Exceptional performance, you can send the guy who banged the gavel in two. But an accident, I traveled to another parallel world. Me in this world, a novice marriage lawyer, 2.5 years after graduation. I took on 5 lawsuits and lost 4 of them. Therefore, who traveled through time, I haven't received a single case in half a month. Just when I was at my wit's end and preparing to change careers, an elderly couple walked into the law firm. Before I could get up and ask, the old man then spoke up first, stating his request. Our lawyer, our son is suspected of robbing a bank. I would like to ask you to defend me. It would be best to reduce the sentence. I was incredibly excited when I heard that. Robbing a bank already involves criminal prosecution issues. These kinds of cases are generally not easy to handle. But what I need is something that's not easy to handle, to build the law firm's reputation. So I asked the old man to a general description of the entire case. The process of the case inside is an elderly man suffered a sudden illness and was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Let the old man's son Wang Lai go to the bank to withdraw the old man's savings for medical treatment. Since it is not the person in question, the bank needs his proof. I am the old man's child. Even with an ID card, neither household registration booklet nor critical illness notice will suffice. The bank staff member used strong language. The old man insisted on going there in person to prove it. Otherwise, they won't let you collect it. However, the elderly man was still in the ICU, waiting for money to save his life. How to prove it? When the two sides were arguing, several robbers arrived and robbed the bank. One robber, the old man's son, needs money to save his life. Without saying a word, he gave him a portion of the stolen money. At that time, the old man's son didn't care about anything else. I took the money directly to the hospital. The group was arrested afterwards. The old man's son took the money. Identified as an accomplice, he was convicted of major robbery, sentenced to 20 years in prison. The old man then filed an appeal. Unfortunately, the second instance upheld the first instance judgment. We have now entered the final review stage. Once a final judgment has been rendered, no further appeals are permitted. The case was then finalized, and when the second instance trial was initiated, the old man suddenly became angry. A lawyer in the second instance, top law firms from the South, claiming to be a top lawyer in criminal cases, asking for $188,000 in lawyer fees right off the bat. He only said 3 sentences in court. We accept the judge's ruling. The old man was so angry he kept trembling. At this moment, Zhang Qiufeng, who was standing to the side, he hurriedly patted the prince's back. He said to me, "Attorney Su, this case has had a significant impact. We heard that if there is a final appeal, the trial may be conducted via live broadcast. We don't trust big law firms. I looked for many small law firms. Nobody wanted to take this case. I was truly overjoyed after hearing that. Isn't this blatant advertising for the law firm?" So I took the case without hesitation and promised that if they were not satisfied with the results, no legal fees. We quickly signed the agency agreement. Just then, a female college student walked in. Su Lai shows goodwill. "I'm here to report. After trying to recall, I finally found myself in the original owner's memories. Information about this girl has been found. The girl's name is Lai Zuzhen, the intern lawyer that the original owner had previously recruited. I'm here to report today. Lai Zuzhen is a graduate of the law department of Lanzhou University of Political Science and Law. Top students, I applied to small law firms to gain experience. Oh, you're here. Perfect timing. Come with me to the courthouse. Soon, we then retrieved the copied case files from the court. After reviewing the case file, Lai Zuzhen became somewhat worried about Attorney Su. The judgments in the first and second instances were the same. The judgment of the intermediate court, the impact is significant unless there is some groundbreaking new evidence. Otherwise, it is highly likely that the first instance judgment will be upheld. And I heard that the lawyer handling this case, it's said to be very powerful. It's over. The first case we encounter won't be doomed. Thinking of this, a sense of despair filled Lai Zuzhen. After I finished reading the case file, I already have a plan in mind. The verdict in this case in my mind. It's almost certain Lai Zuzhen was still immersed in despair, in the midst of the feeling of being unable to win the case. Looking at me, I quietly reminded Attorney Su, "Are we going to lose this case?" I shook my head slightly and lost. Wang Zizhang's son did not rob anyone. How could you possibly lose? No robbery. Attorney Su, what do you mean by that? We'll know when the court hearing starts. Keep it confidential for now. A slight smile played at the corners of my lips. They took their first steps with full confidence. Just kidding. That word doesn't exist in my dictionary. Lai Zuzhen was very curious about what I said, but they didn't press the matter further. He jogged after him, although this case has been largely classified. But I still decided, first, go and see Wang Zizhang's son, and that group of criminal suspects. Listen to what they have to say. The case of Wang Zizhang's son, Wang Lai, has been controversial. After losing in the first and second trials, the court's formal ruling has not yet been issued. Wang Lai is currently still being held in detention. Soon, Rumors about Wang Lai spread badly. I took Lai Zuzhen to the summons room. Wang Lai is in very poor mental condition. After the first and second trials, he had given up hope of getting his sentence reduced. Wang Lai looked up at me. Hello? Lawyer, do you think I still have a chance? There's definitely a chance I'll smile. I promised your parents. Wang Laimeng looked up really. Are you trying to fool me? No legal fees if I can't win. Rather than being certain that I had chosen to take on this case, the son is definitely confident. As long as you cooperate well, there's not much of a problem with reducing the sentence. The extent of sentence reduction depends mainly on your own attitude. A slight smile appeared on my lips. I have full confidence in cooperating with this case. I cooperated and saw how confident I was. Wang Lai nodded heavily. A glimmer of hope rekindled in my heart. I gestured for Lai Zuzhen to take the statement. They began asking about the details of the incident, and in the first instance, answers during the second instance trial. Half an hour later, I walked out of the detention center satisfied. Everything I wanted to confirm has been confirmed. Preparing to go to court. Back to the law firm, I briefly processed the court proceedings materials. He handed the prepared materials to Lai Zuzhen. Lai Zuzhen opened it and took a look. Lawyer Su rubbed her eyes uncertainly. Wouldn't submitting it like this be a bit too aggressive? This case should have had some bombshell revelations. You have to be fierce. I waved my hand and told you to go out and do the work. Lai Zuzhen walked with steps of existential doubt. He walked out of the office. Not long after, regarding Wang Zizhang, final appeal application in the case of Wang Lai. Son, approved. At the same time, the court summons also arrived at the bank. Legal department, after receiving notification from the court. The bank, somewhat surprised, suing the bank for improper operations. This led to the client, Wang Lai, being sentenced, request for compensation for lost wages, compensation for emotional distress. 200,000 yuan. What does this mean? In the Wang Lai case, our bank was the victim. No request was made for the court to take serious action against him. Now, I've even received a message from the other party. A court summons to sue oneself. Isn't this just pure comedy? The robber has the nerve to justify it. The bank manager was unusually concerned about this matter. Angered, he immediately contacted the legal department. This matter should be handled seriously. At the same time, based on the special characteristics of Wang Lai's case, robbing money to save father, the topic of being sentenced to 20 years in prison. It can easily become a viral sensation online. Online public opinion. They all just blame the banks. How come banks are now only for vulnerable groups? This is how you should withdraw money. They're quite enthusiastic about getting you to apply for a credit card. Support Wang Lai. If it weren't for the bank's many problems, Wang Lai had already withdrawn the money to pay the bill. There's no need to rob a bank. Yes, when saving money, bank staff are treated like grandchildren. When withdrawing money, my dads acted like grandsons. You have no idea what the banks are going through. Actually, banks also have their own difficulties. Or you can see, why do large withdrawals always occur at banks? Losing money problem. It's all the work of temporary workers. The bank can't really be blamed for this. Blame the temporary workers. Get a 50-cent ball from upstairs. Add me to the group. I also want to earn this money. The head of Nandu Bank saw the online public opinion. I'm so angry I feel dry and sore. A death order was given. This time, the live broadcast of the court hearing must be a victory. And they must also win in terms of public opinion. It's impossible. Just replace everyone in the legal department. Inside by Jun Law Firm, I was happily scrolling through videos, looking at the one-sided online opinion. Currently, it seems, this lawsuit with Nandu Bank and Wang Lai's final appeal case, this has attracted widespread attention, becoming famous by winning the law firm. The law firm became famous after losing the case. Lai Zuzhen looked at the online comments with mixed feelings of joy and displeasure. On the one hand, it caused such a big commotion. Winning would definitely bring fame. But on the other hand, I'm afraid of losing. Attorney Su, this time we've made such a big fuss. What if we lose? No chance. I asked you to compile information about Nandu Bank cases in recent years. Also, the victim's contact information. Have you finished organizing it? Let me see it. Lai Zuzhen handed the materials to me. I directly handed over the materials. Turn to the bank, the page with contact information for victims of the lawsuit. Start calling the first number. Hello, I am a lawyer at Beijing Law Firm. I heard you've been doing this for 2.5 years. Previously sued Nandu Bank, but they lost the case. Interested in taking a look. How did Nandu Bank lose the case? After hanging up the phone, call the second contact, using the same rhetoric. Lai Zuzhen looked at me. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. This method can also be used to find witnesses. Lai Zuzhen looked at my behavior, not quite understanding. This is completely different from what we learn in school. How to put it? It just feels very unprofessional, but it is very effective. He didn't see much of a professional lawyer in me. Teacher's demeanor, but I learned a lot. Social skills and interpersonal relationships are one aspect. Finding witnesses today is one example. That makes two if you put them together. Both are very useful. 2.5 hours later, I put down the phone. He breathed a sigh of relief. All the preparations are finally complete. Absolutely foolproof. Now we're just waiting for the lawsuit to start. The next day, Out-of-court mediation by the court. As expected, Nandu Bank rejected the possibility of mediation. He also boasted that he would definitely win the lawsuit. I have no respect for such boasts. Anyone can talk big outside of court. Bump into each other in the courtroom. Then you'll know what society is. Just watch whether I win or not. That's all. Time quickly came for the court hearing. Because of this case, this has caused quite a stir on the internet. There is news potential to be discovered. Before entering the courtroom, many reporters waited outside the courthouse. Lawyers from Nandu Bank have arrived. He was immediately surrounded by reporters. Presiding over this case, he is a young lawyer in his 20s from the Ministry of Justice. His name is Lai Mo. He coughed twice, a confident look, compared to Lai Mo being surrounded by reporters. It's much quieter here. Almost no reporters paid any attention to me. Turn around with a smile, taking Lai Zuzhan inside, waiting for the trial to begin in court. Lai Zuzhan appeared slightly nervous. Attorney Su, this court hearing is being broadcast live. What if something goes wrong? No chance, unless the presiding judge deliberately made a wrong judgment. If that's the case, that would make the case even more sensational. A smile twitched at the corners of my mouth. He gestured to Lai Zuzhan not to worry about these things. In this parallel world, the law is highly valued. The law possesses true sanctity. Everyone is equal before the law. There is no judicial bias. If it makes sense, file an application for reconsideration. It's enough to see if the judges can get in. Judge, generally, it will be strictly enforced in accordance with the provisions of the law. Regarding the presiding judge and judges of this trial, I have already learned about it. The presiding judge was a female judge named Eucaxia, vice president of the male superintendent's court. His research on law is very in-depth. The court has presided over hundreds of trials over the years. The judgment was reasonable and well-founded. This difficult bank robbery case, it was because of Eucaxia's hosting. For those who have been treated unfairly, I have no worries, because Eucaxia is known for her impartial judgments. After both sides, lawyers were seated in the courtroom. The court clerk began reading the court date. To maintain court discipline, maintain a serious attitude towards the court. The following court rules are hereby read aloud. The parties involved, their legal representatives, and spectators must obey the presiding judge's instructions. The judges enter the courtroom, and the presiding judge, or when the sole judge pronounces the court's judgment, all personnel should stand up. Reading completed. Please. Presiding judge. The judge entered the courtroom. Everyone stand up. Eucaxia and 2 judges entered the courtroom. The gavel has been struck. The court is now in session. Subsequently, basic personnel information was verified. At the same time, live streaming of court proceedings outside the courtroom. Many people are also watching the live broadcast of this court hearing. Difficult to read in the bank's legal department. Male supervisor, bank head Wang Wu, and legal department head Zhu Zhai. Qiang is watching the live stream closely. After the court hearing, looking up, I asked Jikyang if the court hearing had already begun. The trial has just begun. There were hundreds of people in the live broadcast room of the court hearing. This time, our bank's legal department cannot afford to lose. Do you understand? Zhu Jikyang smiled and nodded. President Wang, don't worry, our legal department was very well prepared this time. As per your request, our Ministry of Justice not only cannot say, and you have to win beautifully, at least it has the effect of suppressing public opinion. Wang Wu nodded in satisfaction. This court hearing was broadcast live. Many media outlets also promoted it online. The male-dominated bank is under tremendous pressure if they lose the trial. So, regarding the reputation of the male-dominated bank caused serious consequences. Wang Wu's difficulty. Bank executives will also be severely affected. Therefore, we cannot lose. After the information verification was completed in court, Eucaxia knocks on the door of the forensic clinic. Now, the plaintiff is invited to state the facts and reasons. And appeal request, sitting in the lawyer's seat. I knew the crucial moment had arrived. I tidied up the suit and dictated the complaint a little. Our demands are very simple. The first party disagreed with the judgments of both the first and second instances. Our client clearly did not commit a crime. However, he was falsely accused of robbery. Our appeal requests the revocation of the first and second instance judgments. Application to cancel the original judgment. Give my client a clear name and justice. The second application against the defendant. That is, Nandu Bank. Compensation to our client due to Nandu Bank's misjudgment. This led to our client was wrongfully sentenced to 20 years in prison. Long-term stay in the detention center. We are requesting compensation of 200,000 yuan for lost wages for our client. Compensation for emotional distress and damage to reputation. This was calculated in detail. Not many third. Due to Nandu Bank, my client's reputation. This caused serious harm. Demand Nandu Bank. We will issue a public apology to our client, including but not limited to short videos. etc. Apology information released on major platforms. Duration no less than 20 days. Fourth, we demand that senior executives of Nandu Bank come forward to clarify the facts. Not only did it clear my client's name, and for those in Nandu Bank, victims who received the same treatment. Apologize. The courtroom was completely silent. Everyone looked puzzled. Is this lawsuit serious? It's not just about demanding the revocation of the judgments from the first and second instances. They also said the person in question was innocent, and their innocence needed to be cleared. Okay, let's leave it at that. They even applied for compensation from Nandu Bank, a lawyer who is not a robber. They actually applied for 200,000 yuan in compensation from the bank, 5 cm of mental distress compensation, damage to reputation. This is another attempt to steal it from a distance. Or is the price clearly marked? Live broadcast of the court, hearing outside the courtroom. Viewers watching the live stream, including some court personnel, lawyers and legal professionals, were stunned. They originally thought this lawsuit would be difficult. The bank will definitely lose the case. But this live stream, the trial had such a great impact. The judge is also a senior judge. A criminal sentence might be possible. Overall, it was still profitable. It can be considered a narrow victory. However, to make such a claim, this is making a wish from afar. You wouldn't dare make a wish like that, would you? Holy crap. These lawyers filled the entire screen with 666, a Chinese internet slang for awesome, regardless of whether they win the case or not. This lawsuit is practically unprecedented. It might be recorded in law. Classic litigation cases. Even a wish wouldn't dare to make such a demand in a lawsuit. Even Buddha couldn't finish it. Nandu Bank Legal Department. Wang Wue frowned. Zhu Zhiqiang, standing to the side, smiled and said, Wang Xing's litigation sentiment. It's just a cheap attempt to attract attention. Just take a look. He could not provide factual evidence or legal justification. I might end up in jail for falsifying documents. When our Nandu Bank won the public opinion battle immediately. Wang Wu stared intently at the live broadcast of the court hearing. He snorted coldly, but remembered that no matter what, this court hearing, our Nandu Bank must save money beautifully. Understand? Understand? Zhu Zhiqiang smiled apologetically. At this time, the opposing lawyer, Lai Mo, couldn't help but sneer. This claim, please ask the lawyer of the client, able to produce relevant factual evidence. Can we defend ourselves with the law? If you can't produce it, he could be convicted of obstructing justice. I smiled slightly. This seems to be. It has nothing to do with the defendant's lawyer. Right, presiding judge, the opposing lawyer verbally attacked me. Attempt to disrupt normal judicial proceedings. I request the opposing lawyer to step down. Lai Mogeng wanted to say something. On the judge's bench, Kexia and the gavel struck softly. Application invalid. The plaintiff's lawyer's application was rejected. The defendant's lawyer has not yet spoken. The defendant's lawyer issued a warning once, facing the banging gavel and warnings. Lai Mo could only swallow his anger. He swallowed the words he was about to say. I can't stand it anymore. Lai Mo squinted and stared intently at me. He cursed inwardly at this guy for being such a scoundrel. Which law department of China University of Political Science and Law did you graduate from? Not just the lawsuit application. Nonsense. Now you're demanding my resignation, just because I say one word. The meaning of leaving one's position. It means that it has an impact on the court or the opposing party. Temporarily leaving the court. It is obvious. What I just said didn't bother you at all. You're just disgusting. They actually asked me to leave my post. Lai Mokeng breathed a sigh of relief. Comfort yourself in the present moment. The lawyer's litigation request. Applications that are completely unfounded. This has interfered with normal judicial procedures. If he can't produce evidence, then they might face detention or even criminal detention. More than just this lawsuit. I won outright. Nandu Bank also won the propaganda war. It's not worth it at all. Lai Mo gradually calmed down after being angry. On the judge's bench, Kexia frowned slightly, openly warned the litigant's lawyer. As the presiding judge, there is an obligation to further confirm regarding your filed lawsuit without factual basis, or if legal basis is used as a convenient option, testifying in court in accordance with the provisions of the criminal law. He will be prosecuted by the prosecutor's office for perjury. Criminal liability will be pursued in accordance with the law. Are you sure about your lawsuit? No problem. Lai Zuzhan on the side. A light sweat appeared on his tense face. She tried to tug at my clothes to calm me down, but I nodded very seriously. Presiding judge, I know the consequences of lying. I take full responsibility for all my statements in court. A commotion suddenly broke out in the courtroom. Dong Dong and Kexia struck the gavel. Please be quiet and continue until, since you have confirmed your lawsuit application. Now, please let the defendant, Nandu Bank, speak. Give your defense and litigation application. The opportunity to refute has arrived. Lai Mo straightened up slightly. He read his defense and litigation application aloud. Our response is as follows. First, regarding the plaintiff, that is, the plaintiff, Wang Lai's side, the complaint filed against our Nandu Bank, all rejected, and it is demanded that this egregious behavior be dealt with seriously. Those who follow the crowd will be severely punished. To achieve respect for the law, Secondly, the Southern Metropolitan Court applied to uphold the plaintiff's application. Medical trial with Nandu Intermediate People's Court. Second instance judgment. Third, the plaintiff is demanding compensation for the damages caused to our reputation. Provide full compensation. Amount 500,000. Fourth, we demand that the plaintiff bear all of our attorney's fees. Your Honor, my defense and appeal are now concluded. Lai Mo will respond to the defense. The statement of the claims has been completed. Yu Kexia struck the gavel. Both parties filed their claims. Now, please let the plaintiff, Feng, finish her lawsuit. Provide relevant legal factual basis. As Yu Kexia finished speaking, all eyes were on me. After all, the plaintiff's lawsuit application. That's a bit too outrageous. Lai Zuzhen is my assistant. Nervous palms sweating. What should Attorney Su do now? Do we have any evidence to support this? Do we have any evidence to support this claim? Lai Zuzhen, he kept flipping through the litigation documents in his hand. My lips twitched slightly. What were I saying? As an intern lawyer at the law firm, I'm still worried about this. I took the documents from Lai Zuzhen's hand. He spoke slowly and deliberately. Your Honor, before submitting relevant legal basis, I would like to ask my client to describe it. The circumstances of the incident. Please proceed now. Please be. The person involved described the events of the incident. The party's seats. Wang Lai slowly stood up from her seat, looking at the two female lawyers beside her. He looked slightly nervous when their eyes fell on me. My mood calmed down a little. Presiding judge, I want a drink of water. Yu Kexia was allowed to finish speaking after the bailiff handed Wang Lai a bottle of water. She drank it. Wang Lai's tension has completely subsided. He said the incident occurred very simply. My dad was in the ICU and desperately needed money. I went to Nandu Bank to withdraw money. Bank staff, I refused because I am not the depositor. They even made my dad come to the bank in person or take it out to prove that I am my dad. Son's evidence, even a household registration booklet won't work. I remember when I was arguing with the bank staff, a group of robbers suddenly entered the bank. They robbed the bank. One of the robbers, they noticed me sitting on the floor, crying, give me some of the stolen money. Then I took the money to the hospital to pay the bill. I raise my hand in judgment. I request to inquire about my client. Some details about people. Hair blown down. Allow the client's lawyer to ask questions. Party, regarding the relevant details of the case. But inquiries about matters outside the case are not permitted. Or guide the subjective intent of the parties involved. Okay, after obtaining Kexia's consent, the presiding judge, I asked the person involved, were you involved in the robbery? I can't describe it in such detail. The process by which the robbers handed you the money. Wang Lai frowned slightly, trying to recall. I remember it was a short robber. I saw me on the ground, weeping bitterly. They called me a coward. Why was I so terrified? I told him it was because my dad was in the hospital. I didn't withdraw the money. I cried because I was worried about my dad. The robber robbed the bank. It seems he also wanted to get money to save his family. Hearing about my experience, he took out 2 bundles of money and stuffed them into my arms. I continued to ask, and then what? After Feifei stuffed the money into your arms, what did you do immediately? I remember Wang Lai's quick answer very clearly. I didn't dare to accept it at first. I was terrified that the robber cursed at me later. They said I was an unfilial son, so I put the money away. Thank you for your cooperation. Judge Rubik's Cube has finished his questioning. Yu Kexia looked at Song Songfang's seat. Attorney Song Fang completed the inquiry. So let's begin your legal interpretation. Good presiding judge. I slowly pulled it out of the materials. Regarding the prosecution in the first instance, key issues raised in the trial. Presiding judge. This was during the first instance trial. Southern Metropolitan Court, public prosecution. The issues raised in the public prosecution and the determination of guilt and judgment. I believe this verdict has many problems. There are many unreasonable aspects. This has caused serious harm to our client. Stopped everyone in the field. All eyes were on me. The first instance judgment was unreasonable. This means that the first instance judgment will be overturned. The jury and audience seats at Yunshan Factory. Everyone's eyes were on me, including viewers watching the live stream from outside the venue. He immediately perked up. This means I disagree with the first instance judgment. I want to overturn the first instance legal judgment. I don't even say 666 anymore. To put it simply, it's awesome, regardless of the final verdict. I think just this overturning of the first instance verdict, that's very interesting. Regarding the unreasonable aspects of the first instance judgment, asking questions is acceptable, but if you want to overthrow it, this requires presenting new evidence for argumentation. The young lawyer seemed very confident, just blindly supported, and that's it. In court, Kexia frowned slightly. Regarding the first instance judgment of the Southern Metropolitan Court, the client's lawyer, do you feel there's anything unreasonable about it? Rebuttal can be based on legal provisions. Good presiding judge. I nodded. This is the Southern Metropolitan Court. Regarding the judgment on the determination of the crime of our client. Point 1 of the following judgment. Southern Metropolis Daily initially filed a lawsuit against our client in court, knowing that he was a criminal suspect. Money stolen from the bank. Still choose to take. Therefore, we need to determine the subjective intent of our client. Robbing money from a bank. My client was sentenced as an accomplice, or take the opportunity to rob a bank. The second point of the sentence for the same crime is difficult to read. The primary court determined that our client, in other words, Wang Lai, communicated with the criminal suspect as a further confirmation of the views of his accomplices. We disagree with these two judgments. The reasons are as follows. Our client has already made it clear. At that time, the suspect took the initiative to ask our side. What happened next? The destination is somewhat complicated. Our client referred to her by the real name Wang Lai. Wang Lai explained it very clearly. It was a crime at the time. The suspect proactively asked him why he was crying at the bank. After hearing about his story, offered to give him money, let him go to the hospital to pay the bill. He treated his critically ill father in the hospital. And at the first time, Wang Lai said her feelings were worry and fear. Question: Judge Wang Lai's first reaction was fear. How could that be? From the perspective of subjective intention, Wang Lai was suspected of robbing money from the bank. Wang Lai's primary intention was to be afraid. And there's another point. Wang Lai said the suspect cursed at him. Under the circumstances at the time, the suspect cursed at Wang Lai. Clearly, they were dissatisfied with Wang Lai's actions. The key point is that the suspect was armed with a dangerous weapon. A thought: this could very well put Wang Lai in danger. In this case, Wang Lai's life was not in any danger. According to the provisions of Chinese law, Wang Lifu, and the conditions for emergency avoidance. Therefore, they will not bear any criminal responsibility. Based on the above statements, our side is targeting Southern Metropolis daily. Second point of the lower court's judgment: not recognized. The judgments of the second instance and the first instance were the same. Therefore, we are applying on this basis. The Southern Metropolitan Court was overturned, and the Intermediate People's Court of Nandu. Regarding the trial of our client, Wang Lai, second instance judgment, a commotion broke out in the courtroom. In response to the pointed questions I raised, everyone was stunned. Then someone thought about it carefully. The look in my eyes was full of admiration. Wang Lai's eyes lit up. He was innocent and could be saved. No need to go to jail. Nandu Bank is going to lose. That's amazing. Lai Zuzhen often felt a sense of relief. The look in his eyes was tinged with admiration. There's a chance of winning this kind of lawsuit. That's amazing. As expected of my good eye for choosing a law firm. Great at the same time. Separate bank legal department. Wang Wu's face was terribly gloomy. He stared coldly at Zhu Jiqiang, the Minister of Justice. Zhu Bajang, didn't you promise me you'd win? But what's going on now? Not only did it fail to aggravate the sentence, they even got the other party to apply for a not guilty plea. Suspicion that the other party actually won the case. You know it will affect our bank. What kind of consequences will result? What about the results and losses? At that time, won't all of you legal staff have to pack up and leave? President Wang, please don't rush. This case isn't over yet. The opposing lawyer is quite capable. But our bank's legal department, it's not like I wasted the bank's money. He's just being kept by the bank for nothing. The 2 points raised by the opposing lawyer. Indeed, there is no problem. However, the first instance judgment had several points. The remaining points are the most crucial. Zhu Jiqiang took out the case file of the first instance judgment. Wang Wu glanced at it and then, a cold snort its best if nothing unexpected happens. You've been watching this live stream closely, haven't you? Report back to me if anything happens. It's so annoying to watch. Remember, you can't lose this case. After Wang Wu left the office, Zhu Jiqiang let out a long breath. He wiped the sweat from his forehead. Wang Wu's presence just now put a lot of pressure on him. Regarding this lawsuit, as the Minister of Justice, he knows this all too well. Definitely a winner. But when he saw the other party's lawyer, Zhu Jiqiang didn't know why. An idea suddenly popped into my head. What if the other side wins? Zhu Jiqiang, who had just realized what was happening, he immediately slapped himself. Impossible. The other party is a small, unknown law firm. How could a junior lawyer possibly win? In court, I looked at Judge Yukexia. Our statement is complete. Yukexia nodded slightly, looking at Lai Mo's outfit, Nandu Bank, and the prosecutor. Is there anything else to add? Lai Mo glared at me through gritted teeth. He cursed inwardly, thinking how ridiculous Subai was. Only 2 o'clock in advance. The subsequent points of the judgment were not mentioned at all. Lai Mo raised his hand. Your Honor, I have a question. Lai Mo raised his hand and applied to the presiding judge. Yukexia looked at the defendant. What questions does the defendant's lawyer have? Can be raised in court. Lai Mo took a deep breath. Wang Yi's verdict was drawn up by the presiding judge. I request that the statements of the plaintiff's lawyer be rejected. Return application. The reason is as follows. The plaintiff's lawyer disagreed with the first instance judgment, Southern Metropolitan Court's verdict, and the corresponding reasons were stated. But the plaintiff's lawyer, you're prioritizing your own interests over others. Only the first 2 points of the verdict were discussed. The following points were deliberately ignored. The third point of the judgment is, Southern Metropolitan Court ruled. Wang Lai knew it was bank financial information. Still choose to use this financial method. Go to the hospital to pay the fee. In her statement just now, the person involved, Wang Lai said, "The description is very clear. After Wang Lai left the bank, they are out of danger. I still chose to take the money to the hospital to pay the fees. Based on this point, it can be determined this is Wang Lai's own subjective judgment, instead of the plaintiff's lawyer's description of Wang Lai. In emergency situations, I would like to ask the plaintiff's lawyer, your client Mingaming, when Zio Na was in bank finance, why choose to go to the hospital instead of calling the police, hand over the money from the bank, or wait until you yourself, after arriving at a safe location, then return the money? But Wang Lai, he made the decision to spend the money used for paying hospital fees. This illustrates, first, he knew it was money stolen from a bank. Secondly, even if the kidnappers threatened him, so at the point of leaving the bank, Wang Lai is out of danger. The conditions do not constitute emergency avoidance. Combining the two, isn't this based on subjective intent, equivalent to robbing a bank? Go to save his father. Of course, I know this is human nature. I do not deny Wang Lai emotionally care and love for one's father. However, from a factual and legal perspective, there is no problem with the verdict against Wang Lai. Your Honor, my statement is complete. Limo glanced in my direction after he finished speaking. The last paragraph was added on the spot. He also knew the public opinion impact of this case is significant. Therefore, he must win the lawsuit while we must also pay attention to the influence of public opinion. Otherwise, wait until the case is over and you win. Difficulty in protecting the reputation of banks. It will cause enormous losses. Plaintiff's counterclaim against defendant. Any opinions or put forward different viewpoints? Limo gave me a provocative look. A slight smile appeared on my lips. This is the moment he's been waiting for. The time for shift work to become difficult for banks has come. Presiding judge, I have no objection to the defendant's claims. The defendant's lawyer was correct in his argument. However, there was one point the defense attorney overlooked. I would like to ask the defendant's lawyer, how did you come to the conclusion that Wang Lai, the money in my hand, belongs to the bank? Is there any evidence to suggest that? The money is the bank's money. The defendant's lawyer also said, our client, Wang Lai, I took the money from the bank to the hospital to pay the relevant fees. Therefore, the court ruled that our client, Wang Lai, had subjective intent. But how can this money be proven to belong to a bank? But how can we prove that this money belongs to the bank? My counter question completely stumped Lai Mo. What does this mean? What is meant? How to prove that the money in the bank belongs to the bank? This question is ridiculous. Not only was Lai Mo stunned, many members of the hearing room. Some people don't understand. Is that even possible? Damn, that's awesome. You can even ask such a tricky question. Viewers watching the live broadcast of the court hearing, they were all stunned for a few seconds. Haha. What does that mean? Let the bank prove the bank's money. It's a bank. This lawyer's got something. This lawsuit. I've already gone somewhere I don't know. I feel like my brain has broken down. Isn't this lawsuit about Wang Lai? Shouldn't the focus be on reducing Wang Lai's sentence? The bank is the attacker. How come now Wang Lai's lawyers were so aggressive? Unclear, but this lawsuit seems really interesting. It looks pretty cool. In court, my tricky question silenced Lai Mogan. In a short time, he was somewhat confused about what I was thinking. From the perspective of asking questions, my question was indeed perfectly fine. But from a factual perspective, the money the robbers stole from the bank did not belong to the bank. Did it fall from the sky? Lai Zuzhan looked at me thoughtfully. It seems got at something. Yu Kexia struck the gavel. He looked at me calmly. Plaintiff's lawyer's statement. Is there any evidence or legal basis? Confirmed. Presiding judge. I pulled out a file from the first trial. Presiding judge. This is after the first trial. Evidence provided by the prosecution. Based on the evidence submitted by the prosecution, the bank was in chaos at the time. The robbers not only stole money from inside the bank. Moreover, it is at the bank. A customer who was withdrawing money was robbed. They were mixed in burlap sacks. According to surveillance camera footage, the robber who gave Wang Lai money. From the burlap sack, I grabbed 2 cash items at random. These 2 types of cash are indistinguishable. It was stolen from a bank, or from the money that has already been withdrawn. The customer who was about to leave was snatching it. How can a bank prove that the money belongs to the bank if authentication fails? So, on the banking side, we cannot identify our client participating in bank robbery. The money was indeed obtained through robbery. However, it was not obtained through robbery by our client. The robbers handed the money to our client. At most, our client benefited from the situation. Please read carefully. The bank proved that the money belonged to the bank. Everyone at the scene looked puzzled. It's unbelievable that this is possible. Yu Kexia frowned slightly. He has served as presiding judge for so many years, tried hundreds of cases. This robbery case involving Wang Lai had a huge social impact. The court president appointed him as the presiding judge, but this was the first case he had ever seen. The process was so tortuous. The question asked was so outrageous, but everything is within the scope of court procedures. There was no significant emotional bias towards Kexia. They looked towards the bank. The bank responded to the questions raised by the plaintiff's lawyer. Is there any evidence to refute this, or object based on legal provisions? Lai Mo was so angry he felt like his lungs were about to explode. When will the bank require require proof. The money in the bank is the bank's money. Limo really wanted to curse, but he had already been warned once. A warning will result in a fine of 50. If the situation is serious, the defendant may withdraw from the trial. There is no way. He could only force himself to calm down. Raise your hand and open your mouth. The presiding judge objected to the opposing lawyer's statement. Customers inside the bank. Banks have the right to protect the safety and privacy of their customers. The bank customer has not yet left the bank. The money should, of course, be attributed to the bank because of the loss of money from stolen customers. The bank needs to bear primary or full responsibility. According to the division of responsibilities, the customer did not leave the bank lobby area. Then the money would naturally belong to the bank. There's no need to distinguish whether you're robbing a bank or a customer. Whether the robbers robbed the bank or the customers, everything inside the bank lobby belongs to the bank. Limo stared intently at the plaintiff's lawyer's seat. I was filled with resentment. I smiled indifferently. Raise your hand to apply. The presiding judge's statement regarding Nandu Bank's actions. He was robbed in the bank lobby. The customer did not leave the bank lobby area. Property loss is the bank's responsibility. So the customer's money. This also falls under the category of bank property issues. I propose the meaning. Presiding judge, this is a lawsuit that took place 6 months ago. The lawsuit is, a bank customer was withdrawing money at the bank at the time. The money had just been received. He was robbed by a driver who was waiting for him. The perpetrators were watching. They robbed a bank customer of 150,000 yuan. What happened to the robber afterward? But since all the money had been spent, the person can't come up with the money. Therefore, the customers who withdrew the money sought compensation from the bank. The lawsuit has been filed against Nandu Bank. However, the bank has already abandoned its responsibilities towards Gigai. The reason given is that the party failed to protect their own property. Submit argument. Ultimately, this led to the customer who withdrew the money losing the case. Is this what they call Nandu Bank protecting its customers? Is your property safe in the bank lobby? This is what Nandu Bank said. Did not leave the bank. Customers' money is protected by the bank. Will the bank bear the loss? We deny this. Presiding judge, the customer who applied for the money withdrawal at that time. The parties and witnesses enter the venue. Eucaxia nodded slightly. Hair blown down. Plaintiff's lawyer requests witness entry consent. After the sound fell, the bailiff brought along a man who was approximately age missing. A middle-aged woman in her 40s or 50s entered the courtroom. The old lady walked into the courtroom. He stared straight at Lai Mo. Lai Mo didn't know why. Suddenly, I had a bad feeling. On the trial stand, Caixia reads the witness's documents. Witness's name, Wang Min, age 46. Is the identity true? Wang Min nodded vigorously. Presiding judge, I am Wang Min. Identity confirmed. Eucaxia continued speaking, confirming the witness's identity. Please describe the relevant situation. After Wang Min heard this sentence, it seems that Chuan has been found. Leakage 6 months ago. I deposited a sum of money in Nandu Bank. The money may not seem like much at Nandu Bank, 150,000, but that was the result of several years of hard work by my partner and me. The dowry money prepared for my son. I had just withdrawn the money. There was one perpetrator, me and my partner. The money I saved up over the years was stolen. When they found it later, the money was gone. We took the lawyer's advice and sued the bank. The bank is not responsible for Lai Gigai's actions. However, I refused, citing improper storage by myself, and I lost the case. I just wanted to ask about the difficulty bank today. What do you mean by this? Does double standard apply when I sue you? You said Lai Gigai is irresponsible. Now you're being sued. They also said they were robbed in the bank lobby. Loss of money by customers. The bank needs to bear primary or full responsibility. According to the division of responsibilities, the customer did not leave the bank lobby area. Then the money would naturally belong to the bank. Then shouldn't you return my hard-earned money? Don't you think so? Nandu Bank repayment. Wang Min was able to narrate calmly at first, but the more she talked, the more excited she became. Finally, he started swearing. The insults were incredibly nasty. The bailiffs couldn't control the situation, even if they tried. Discussions began both in the courtroom and during the live broadcast. From this perspective, Nandu Bank does indeed apply double standards. On the one hand, they claim to be victims. On the other hand, he himself is the perpetrator. Running into Nandu Bank was just bad luck. I remember, other banks don't seem to be this outrageous. Do they? Feel free to leave a comment here. Just avoid those banks. In the live broadcast room of the court hearing. In the live broadcast room of the court hearing, many people complained about the court proceedings. Rainbow clouds. The witness was somewhat unable to control his emotions. The sound of the French wind was rang out. The plaintiff's witnesses are advised to control their emotions. Not allowed. A warning will be issued for verbally abusing the defendant in court. Hearing the judge's voice, Wang Min's emotions were instantly brought under control. I'm sorry, Your Honor, I lost control of my emotions in court. I'm sorry. Caixia showed no expression whatsoever. Wang Min, a witness who appeared in court for the plaintiff. Have you finished your court appearance? Return to the presiding judge. I have finished speaking. The bailiffs escorted the plaintiff's witnesses away. After Wang Min left the courtroom, Kexia looked at Lai Mo. Regarding the plaintiff's witnesses' allegations against Nandu Bank, failure to fulfill the duty to protect customers in the lobby, property security, should the defendant, Nandu Bank, make any supplementary statements, explain the situation at that time. Lai Mo clenched her fists tightly. Or calm yourself down. This lawsuit is for him. It was truly unbearable. He even had a feeling that he couldn't win the case. After taking a deep breath, he calmed down. Presiding judge, the plaintiff's witness, was present at the court hearing. He verbally abused Nandu Bank on the spot. Therefore, I have doubts about the mental integrity of the plaintiff's witnesses. Therefore, I think statements made by the plaintiff's witnesses at the court hearing inadequate as evidence in court. After Lai Mo finished speaking, he noticed the slight upturn of the corners of my mouth as I looked at him. A bad feeling suddenly crept into my heart. It lies in Kexia's contemplation. When deciding whether to approve Lai Mo's application, I raised my hand, and Yu Kexia noticed this. He then asked the plaintiff's lawyer if they had anything to say. Is there anything else to add? I smiled slightly. He raised the materials in his hand. Upon closer inspection, there are probably more than a dozen. Lai Mo looked at me with suspicion. I smiled at Lai Mo. Then the presiding judge spoke. We agree to the defendant's lawyer's application. However, we still have several witnesses who can provide blank testimonies. Difficulty in banking. No protection for customers. Property security within the bank. Lai Mo's brows were almost furrowed. It wasn't you. When will this end? The house is dilapidated. It's really dilapidated. Lai Mo didn't know. How should I describe my feelings right now? He has already stated that the opposing witness may have mental health issues. As a result, I didn't argue with him about this issue. He pulled out a bunch of witness documents with his backhand. How could you be so dog? This is outrageous. Lai Mo fought so many lawsuits. I've never seen anything like this before. It's practically a rundown house. A smile played on my lips. Lai Mo silently gazed at the dilapidated house. He thought to himself, you think you're so arrogant. Don't you think you can continue debating with me? I'm not going to argue with you. You said this witness might have mental health issues. What about the others? We can't include everything. Can we? Continue. It's not that I look down on my Beijing law firm. Do you specialize in marriage counseling? What's wrong with marriage counseling? They'll still leave you completely bewildered in criminal proceedings. I smiled slightly, continuing with the presiding judge. The evidence materials we possess. Suffice it to say, the bank lacks the ability to protect customers' assets. Therefore, the application, compared with the defendant just now, changes in the legal team of Nandu Bank. Cancel immediately. Yu Kexia struck the gavel. Reasons for rejecting the plaintiff's application. Grounds for refusal. Banks have legal rights to protect their clients. Property obligations. The evidence presented by the plaintiff is not universally applicable. Sexual consent request. Basis for consent. The defendant, Nandu Bank, failed to fulfill its guarantee obligations, bank customer security obligations. The moment the gavel is struck, Yu Kexia's trial grounds, it has already been explained very clearly. It's just that some people don't understand. During the live broadcast of the court hearing, I don't understand what this means. It couldn't help but be brought up. What does it mean when Teacher Luo both refuses and agrees? Yes. It made me a little confused. Teacher Luo, please explain. Luo Daxiang smiled slightly in court. In response to Yu Kexia's trial, explanation, the reasons for rejecting the plaintiff's application are the plaintiff's grounds for the application, and the evidence provided demonstrate that. Bank, they do not have the responsibility to protect the safety of their client's property. However, in the provisions of the law, bank inside the bank, it is imperative to ensure the safety of clients' assets. The bank is facing difficulties in litigation with its victimized customers. Winning a case does not guarantee universality. If the judgment is in favor, so that's how it came to be the bank. No responsibility to protect the safety of customers' property. However, the ruling was against it. In this debate, Nandu Bank has not fulfilled its obligations. What should we do then? Judge Yu Kexia did it very cleverly. The reasons given by the plaintiff were rejected, upholding the dignity of the law. The application request was approved. This indicates that Nandu Bank indeed failed to perform its duties adequately. This lawsuit, Nandu Bank took the wrong approach to the debate from the very beginning. Towards, they completely fell into the opponent's argument. Luo Daxiang shook his head slightly at the lawsuit. Nandu Bank is likely to lose. Nandu Bank is going to lose. Teacher Luo said that Nandu Bank is going to lose. Then I'm afraid Nandu Bank is beyond saving. That's that matter. Don't you know who Teacher Luo is? Luo Daxiang smiled slightly as he looked at the comments section. This lawsuit is almost over. Let's look at the final statements and verdicts. The court's verdict regarding Kexia. Lai Mo raised his hand and voiced his doubts. The presiding judge has not yet given me a chance to continue speaking. I request that the trial just concluded be invalidated. Application invalid. Lai Mo was speechless. What the heck was application invalid? Your Honor, I would like to ask why the application was invalid. The verdict has been announced. The defendant has been notified of the invalidation application. If the defendant insists on continuing the application, an administrative review can be filed after the court hearing. But the application is now invalid. Defendant's attorney, if we continue discussing this topic, then a second warning will be issued. Limo looked towards the judge's bench. There's a feeling of having the strength, but being unable to unleash it. I'm so frustrated. The words "good judgment" chapter slowly appeared. Eucaxia glanced indifferently at the defendant. That is, Lai Mo's direction. I glanced at it again, and then rang the French bell. Now, please let the plaintiff. The defendant makes a final statement in court. The plaintiff's lawyer makes a final statement in court. Good presiding judge. The most crucial part of the court statement is, can it move the judge? I had prepared for this well in advance. There are no sentimental words. If this case is judged normally, then we won't lose. Wang Lai will be resentenced. Based on my previous understanding of Rainy Hero, what this presiding judge values most is the interpretation of the law. The legal code is supreme. I slowly stood up. Your Honor, based on the litigation and court evidence submitted by our side, we have nothing more to add. All I want to say is, legal justice will not wrongly convict an innocent person and will not wrongly judge a bad person. Hope for trial. You can proceed according to the normal legal process. Remember the oath. Eucaxia looked on with satisfaction. The plaintiff nodded slightly, completing their statement. Now it's the defendant's turn to make their statement. Limo knew this final statement. This is their last chance. Nandu Bank, because he could sense the nature of this lawsuit. Something was amiss. Limo slowly rose and said, "Respected presiding judge, in this case, the judge, our Nandu Bank, is the victim. I believe that it's not wrong for people to have feelings, but the law is merciless. Our Nandu Bank is, after all, the victim. The plaintiff's proposal has led to us. The victims being the demand for compensation is far too unfair." Statement complete. After listening to Lai Mo's description, Eucaxia, he then looked at the courtyard expressionlessly. The parties involved are directly opposite the judge's bench. Wang Lai asked the parties involved to make a final statement. Wang Lai looked up at the high platform of the courtroom. He glanced in my direction again. Your Honor, Judge, I have no objection to this court hearing. I am willing to accept any trial. Statement complete. Now resting. 30-minute rest. The court will announce the verdict 30 minutes later. Eucaxia struck the gavel. It has entered a rest phase. At the moment when Eucaxia announced the break, all court personnel stood, watching Eucaxia and two other members of the tribunal leave the trial platform. During the recess, everyone was concerned about the court proceedings. The final verdict was nerve-wracking. There was only one exception. That's me. Lai Zuzhen's palms were sweaty. This was the first time he had personally attended a court hearing. They also witnessed my arguments in court, although the debate is over. However, the final verdict remains unknown. Therefore, there was an unusual tension. Lai Zuzhen looked at my lawyer with curiosity. Aren't you nervous about the final court outcome? This is a big case, and the trial is being broadcast live. I heard it caused quite a stir. Aren't you worried at all? Those who deserve punishment should be punished. Don't worry about the cases that shouldn't be judged or won't be judged. We shouldn't be the ones worrying. Look at Attorney Lai. As the legal counsel of a difficult-to-read bank, they should be much more nervous than us. Lai Zuzhen glanced at Lai Mo. He was looking in his direction. He couldn't help but speak up. Attorney Su, Attorney Lai seems to be looking at us. I looked up and noticed. Lai Mo is using an angry. I dare not be nervous. Various negative. His eyes, filled with conflicting emotions, were fixed on me. I smiled slightly. Ignoring it, is Attorney Lai doing eye exercises? At the same time, after the recess, the three members of the council chamber. Final decision-making discussions. Eucaxia looked at the other two judges. Regarding this case, do you two have any? What's your opinion? One of them spoke up regarding the plaintiff's claim that Wang Lai is innocent. Although legal arguments were presented in court, it also provided some evidence. However, the first instance trial resulted in a 20-year prison sentence. The second instance upheld the original judgment. If our final judgment differs too much, will it cause controversy? Another judge nodded in agreement. Eucaxia frowned slightly. The outcome of the trial was based on the law. No need to refer to the first and second trials. Let's proceed according to the presiding judge's verdict. The three of them finally discussed. Because Caixia made the judgment, the 30 minutes in court ended quickly. Everyone who is following this lawsuit, everyone is eagerly awaiting the final verdict. Accompanied by you, Caixia and two other members of the council entered the courtroom. The clerk called for everyone to stand up. All people in the courtroom stood up. Limo stared nervously at the judge's bench. Regarding the outcome of this court hearing, he has no confidence at the moment. We can only wait for Eucaxia to announce the verdict. Out of the corner of my eye, I glanced in the direction of the plaintiff, but I looked completely relaxed. A speck of dust involuntarily settled in my heart. Eucaxia holding the judgment documents. He slowly opened his mouth under everyone's gaze. This case is a matter for this court. That is, the Southern Metropolitan High Court. Final judgment cases. Plaintiff Wang Lai. Defendant Nandu Bank. However, this court has jurisdiction over the case. All applicable laws are based on domestic laws, according to the provisions of my country's criminal law. Violence, coercing or threatening others to rob company finances, elements constituting the crime of robbery. The prosecution is targeting the plaintiff, Wang Lai. Wang Lai was brought to the forefront as an accomplice in the robbery. The legal conditions were not met. Wang Lai did not commit the crime of robbery. However, Wang Liming knew that the proceeds of his labor were illegally obtained. I still chose to use it to pay my father's fees, suspected of unjust enrichment and transfer of illicit funds, suspected of concealing proceeds of crime, and because there was a reason for it. The situation is urgent, considering Wang Lai at that time. Loss of basic rational behavior. Wang Lai was previously sentenced to 6 months in prison, 1 year probation, return of illegally obtained property. Regarding the plaintiff's claim that South compensation issues for the bank, Nandu Bank was indeed involved in this case. The court ordered Nandu Bank to apologize to Wang Lai. All claims were rejected. In response to the defendant's claims, all rejections are hereby rejected. This court has reached a final judgment. According to the provisions of my country's procedural law, this court will take action within 10 days at the Jade Pavilion. Send the judgment to all parties involved. The law fell down to the Jade Pavilion. The sound of rain and colorful clouds fell. The final appeal has now concluded. Hearing the final verdict, Limo completely broke down. The difficulty of losing was high, and the bank lost, and the loss was exceptionally complete. Not only was Wang Lai convicted of not robbery, but he was also found not guilty. The verdicts of the first and second trials were overturned, and he was only sentenced to 6 months. Not just 6 months, or probation. What does probation mean? Probation means that Wang Lai will not have to go to jail at all, as long as you behave yourself and don't commit crimes or break the law. Then his sentencing is equivalent to having no effect whatsoever. The moment the verdict was pronounced, Lai Mo, the legal counsel for Nandu Bank. I'm going crazy. Nandu Bank Legal Department. Zhu Jikyang watched the live broadcast of the court hearing. Upon hearing this court verdict, slightly stunned, he let out a long sigh. While watching the live broadcast of the court hearing, he had a vague premonition. They probably lost this trial, but what he didn't expect was, the verdict was so bad that they lost so badly. Wang Lai's slow pace is understandable. The bank also needs to apologize to Wang Lai, who can withstand that for even a short time. Zhu Jikyang had no idea what to do. If Wang Wu were told the outcome of the trial, he could imagine himself on the spot, the image of someone carrying their personal belongings and leaving. Nandu Bank President's office. Wang Wu watched the live broadcast of the court hearing. Closure accompanied by the announcement that it will inevitably cease and end. I'm so angry. He angrily pushed open the door to the legal department. Zhu Jikyang, what promise did you make to me? Didn't you say that the Southern Poison Bank would definitely win? And will they win in terms of public opinion? This is the victory you're talking about. Previously, Wang Wu and Zhu Jikyang were in the legal department. Watch the court hearing live together. I'm so angry. After returning to the bank manager's office, I couldn't resist secretly watching the trial system. This live broadcast is not just about whether or not they can win the case. It is also related to the birth rate of Nandu Bank. Nandu Bank is just a local bank. If fertility is damaged, the losses for the bank would then be incalculable. Watch the entire court hearing live. My feelings can only be described as fluctuating. It's not just a drop. It's been falling and falling until I'm numb. There were absolutely no ups and downs. The moment the verdict was announced, Wang Wu couldn't hold back any longer. Arrived at the legal office, questioning Zhu Jikyang, the Minister of Justice. Zhu Jikyang felt wronged. Who would have thought Kai, who specializes in divorce counseling, Attorney Jai, can a criminal investigator fight this fiercely, randomly killing people in court, especially after meeting Eucaxia, such a senior presiding judge. The final verdict was reasonable and well-founded. There's no way to appeal. President Wang, this time it was a mistake by our bank's legal department. Although we failed, but it wasn't a complete failure. The result of losing the case was simply an apology, as long as we win in terms of public opinion. In the end, our Nandu Bank still won. Wang Wu narrowed his eyes slightly. Public opinion. What a load of rubbish. Our bank has been ordered to apologize. Public opinion is still at stake. Do you think I'm stupid? What about public opinion after losing the case? Zhu Jikyang looked troubled. He was just saying it offhand. Of course, I don't know how to win the public opinion battle. What I said just now was entirely to reassure Wang Wu. Wang Wu could tell. He immediately waved his hand, saying, you should think of a solution first. If we lose this trial, our bank's reputation and fertility suffered losses. You, the Minister of Justice, should get out of here. Zhu Jikyang wanted to say something more, but Wang Wu gave him no chance at all. He stormed out of the legal office. Zhu Jikyang's face was sullen. The original preparations were foolproof. Who would have thought a fighter suddenly appeared out of nowhere? Xing is such a powerful marriage counselor. After the court session was adjourned, Eucaxia and 2 other judges leaving the courtroom because Wang Lai was not declared innocent on the spot. He is also suspected of unjust enrichment and transferring illicit funds. Although it was a suspended sentence, the necessary procedures still need to be followed. He was taken away by the bailiffs. Lai Zuzhen looked at me. Attorney Su, with an excited expression. We won this lawsuit. Wang Lai was sentenced, but it was only a few months, and it was still a suspended sentence, compared to the previous trial, regarding the 20-year prison sentence in the second instance. This court case, we can call him the Great Sage. Attorney Su Lai Zuzhen jumped slightly on her tiptoes. His body trembled with excitement. I glanced at Lai Zuzhen, whose expression was unusually agitated. I already said that the corners of my mouth were slightly quirky. Is it certain that this lawsuit will be won? Rainy Clouds is so looking forward to it. It was exactly what I expected. If it were a regular lawyer, even if it's impossible to get such a light sentence, it is unlikely that the second instance will uphold the original judgment of the first instance. However, the lawyer Wang Zizhang hired earlier was in a really bad situation. During the second trial, I hired a lawyer with a silver tongue. That's pretty awesome. In this lawsuit, actually, there are several key issues. It was not mentioned, but the key point of this lawsuit lies in, was Wang Lai guilty of robbery? This is the most crucial point. To deny this point. So, what about Nandu Bank and the prosecution? The charges were completely dropped, and also the presiding judge's attitude. Wang Lai's case is very special. Both the first and second trials resulted in a 20-year prison sentence. The final judgment often takes into account the judgments of the first and second instances. Fortunately, with Judge Kexia, a senior presiding judge, uphold the fairness of the law. The final result wasn't entirely unexpected. Okay, don't get so excited. Quickly organize the materials. There are still some related matters to be handled. There's still a lot to do. Okay. Attorney Su Lai Zuzhen, he suppressed his excitement after diligently organizing the materials. They followed behind me, preparing to leave the courtroom. On the other side, Lai Mo stared intently at me. His eyes held a look of utter despair, or resentment and jealousy. It's very complicated anyway. When passing by, Lai Zuzhen muttered something under her breath about Lawyer Su. Nandu Bank's legal department. That lawyer, Mr. Lai, seems quite dissatisfied with you. I smiled slightly. Perhaps it's because I've been doing too many health maintenance procedures. Let's just go our own way. Okay. Attorney Su, this lame joke is actually quite funny. Mo was so angry upon hearing this that he almost vomited blood. Let's put aside the fact that we lost the case, but when you two passed by me, can you whisper? So close and so loud. Do you think I can't hear you? There's no way to just accept defeat, no matter how angry you are in court. It won't make a difference. The final verdict has been announced. After Lai Mo organized the court hearing materials, she followed me out of the courthouse. Outside the court, the reporters were already eagerly preparing for the interviews. Some even called the editor on the spot to notify them. Get ready for a shocking headline. Wang Lia's dramatic reversal. Nandu Bank is facing a just trial. After I left the courthouse, numerous media outlets flocked to the scene. He held the microphone out in front of me. Attorney Su, please answer this question. This time, your defense in court. What are your thoughts? How did you come up with that? Let the bank prove. Is the saying the money in the bank belongs to the bank true? Attorney Su, we understand that your law firm is just a marriage agency. Consulting law firm. Why are you involved in this criminal proceedings? Such an outstanding performance, faced with reporters and media pressing for answers. I quickly straightened my suit. Although our law firm is a marriage counseling firm. However, lawyers are proficient in both criminal and civil law. Economic disputes, various legal services are designed. That's why they won the case. If you go to court, you may give priority to our Beijing law firm. I flashed 2 white teeth. It appears incredibly real. After advertising, they hurriedly left the scene with Lai Zuzhen. Only the staff from Nandu Bank remained at the scene. At this point, some media outlets seem to have discovered new news. He carried the camera and came up to Lai Mo. Attorney Lai, please tell me your question. How do you view your own satisfaction before the court hearing, but ultimately lost the case to a company, an obscure law firm, the probability of the bank winning the case? As you mentioned before, let's not worry about this. I just felt in my heart that the bank was bound to lose. Is that so? Attorney Lai, does the plaintiff's lawyer have any conflict of interest? Lai Mo's head was covered in black dandruff. The corner of his mouth kept twitching. You're the kind of guy who specializes in stabbing people in the back. Aren't you? Killing someone by destroying their spirit. Right. What do you mean by that? Suspect I'm an undercover agent. Lai Mo was practically going crazy. Unlike last time, Lai Mo entered the courtroom full of confidence. When he came out, he had not only lost the lawsuit, it hurt me deeply again. After Wang Lighting's trial concluded, major media outlets rushed to report on it. All of them are aimed at Southern Metropolis Daily. My golden quote from the bank. How can a bank prove that the money in its account belongs to the owner? It quickly became popular. Nandu Bank's reputation and image suffered huge losses, and at this moment, a comparison video also went viral across the internet. The beginning of the video, Lai Mo spoke with great confidence. As for the probability of winning the case, no need to worry about that. I believe everyone has their own judgment on this. The video ends with a picture of Lai Mo's tall and straight back. The title of the copy is Silent Back. The content actually started. Attorney Lai from Nandu Bank knew about it. Nandu Bank is likely to lose this lawsuit. Why? Because he is so admirable, he infiltrated Nandu Bank single-handedly. This led to a victory for a marriage information law firm. It has undermined the reputation of Nandu Bank. What's this? This is like lying in wait for 10 years. All for one move. The video release immediately attracted a large number of push notifications. Many netizens commented in the comments section. This is the first time I've heard of a lawyer infiltrating the enemy. That was really awesome. There is also this saying, how can such an unscrupulous lawyer be whitewashed like this? I can't go to the cow. That's how the internet works. Even some netizens who know the truth. I couldn't help but joke about it. This copywriting is amazing. Infiltrating the enemy for 10 years for just one move. When I return, I can't make this up anymore. Please welcome the next contestant. At the internal meeting of Nandu Bank, Wang Wu held up the video. What does it mean that his eyes are filled with anger? Eat the bank's food and drink the bank's water. What's the point of banks paying you to do things? I am now issuing a notification. Limo caused damage to the bank's image. Extremely negative impact. The official notification is now being issued. Limo, you can take your things and leave. Limo saw the content in the video. Completely baffled. I somehow managed to become famous this way. If you're not willing to do it, then don't do it. I still don't believe it. No other work. He immediately packed his things and left Nandu Bank. Nandu Bank also suffered losses due to this live-streamed court hearing. The impact was enormous. This led to a decline in the bank's fertility rate. As a result, the bank had to apologize to its customers and compensated for the previous loss. The bank lost all the financial clients' losses in order to salvage their reputation. Nandu Bank's belated attempt to salvage the situation. In terms of public opinion, it can only be said to have a slight effect. Then, Nandu Bank again spent a large sum of money to bribe media outlets and public opinion to seize the high ground in public opinion. Unfortunately, netizens didn't buy it at all. Wang Wu spent a lot of money to try and cool down public opinion. After spending a considerable sum of money, finally, some results were achieved, but then they encountered a court person. Luo Daxiang posted a message titled, "The most compelling courtroom defense video I've seen this year." The video explains the Wang Lai case. Luo Daxiang, a well-known court professional. It has a great influence on the internet. Each video posted, the number of reposts and views is frighteningly high. This video was posted. Media and public opinion, bribed by Nandu Bank. Business vanished instantly. In the video, Luo Daxiang detailed the legal knowledge presented in the courtroom was broken down in detail. It also explained why the teacher needs to debate from a certain angle. The key issues of the trial were analyzed. Court hearing video, although Nandu Bank was redacted, but those in the know understand that it's Nandu Bank. Discussion of the pace. A kind person reminded, individual banks have once again suffered huge loss of fertility compared to the bustling internet. Bai Jun law firm has become much quieter. 2 days after the lawsuit, there are quite a few people coming in to consult about legal matters, but most of the time it's all thunder and no rain. They'll come over tentatively, hoping to get something for free. Some legal issues. Having learned that, most people left after the fee was charged. Not a single case. Some women also want to cheer themselves up. They came to me specifically to consult about their marriage problems. All blamed on Lai Zuzhen. Do women resonate most with each other? Consulting services were handed over to Lai Zuzhen. There's nothing seriously wrong with it. Right. However, these people who came to inquire, upon closer inspection, it was Lai Zuzhen who received them. I don't know why. They often leave in a hurry, after only 10 minutes or so of conversation. After the hype died down in the next 2 days, the number of people seeking advice has decreased significantly. I have some free time. I spent nearly 5,000 yuan to hire someone for 2 days. The law firm underwent a general renovation, at least from the outside, much more formal than before. Another 5,000 was spent, purchased some basic office supplies. Overall, the law firm now looks like a legitimate law firm, much better than before. I nodded in satisfaction, determined to grow bigger and stronger. This can be considered a small step forward. However, the law firm remained deserted. We haven't received many cases. It seems advertising on the internet isn't very effective. The advertising in those media outlets wasn't very effective. Invitations received during this period. According to other law firms, there are quite a few people who work as criminal lawyers. There is no case summary. Can work for others. Nothing beats being a capitalist yourself. They were all rejected 10 days after the lawsuit ended, around 1:30 p.m. The sun was high in the sky. The weather outside is a bit hot and dry. I'm drinking tea and enjoying the air conditioning. Lai Zuzhen was busy watching teacher Luo's video. Advertising for law firms. The advertising method is very simple and straightforward. There are no frills or fancy things. Leave a comment below about the lawyer who won this case. It is the Nandu Beijun law firm. Attorney Subai is highly skilled, proficient in civil and criminal matters. For legal services, choose Nandu Beijun law firm. Half an hour after the start of the journey, Lai Zuzhen was getting numb from copying and pasting. I couldn't help but ask Attorney Sue a question. Our advertising style really has. I think our comments are completely useless. Of course, it's useful if there's no response from private messages. However, sending a single one might not be very effective. Therefore, you still need to persevere. Besides, don't you want to fight more lawsuits? Learn more about litigation experience. Will I become a top lawyer after being officially hired? I gave Lai Zuzhan a very serious answer. This young and energetic intern lawyer was. Lai Zuzhan walked with a serious expression. Let's continue. Okay. Attorney Sue. Lai Zuzhan was fully equipped with machinery. The comments continued to be copied and pasted. I glanced at the date. Wang Lai should have completed the slow-moving procedures by now. He and Wang Zizhang agreed to settle the lawyer's fees today. Judging by the time, it should be almost time. Sure enough, while I was thinking, Wang Zizhang and his wife, supported by Wang Lai, he slowly walked to the entrance of Beijun law firm. The smile on his face was completely unstoppable. His own son was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He was given a suspended sentence. This is for the elderly couple. He is simply a great benefactor. Otherwise, according to their age, I'll wait until I die. The day their son was released from prison. They may die with endless regrets. You could say I gave them new hope. Wang Lai's mouth was also splitting into a wide grin. This lawsuit, he also realized my ability to litigate. If it weren't for me, when he is released from prison, it is equivalent to being completely disconnected from society. He was genuinely grateful to me. They comforted the elderly couple and led them into the law firm. I took 3 bottles of mineral water. The family of Wang Zizhang, who were sitting on the sofa, were placed in a bowl. A former colleague handed the judgment to Wang Lai. This is the judgment issued at the end of the court hearing. It was previously stored here with me. Keep it safe so you don't lose it. Wang Lai was solemn and cautious. The judgment was folded several times, folded into almost. After being sized like multiple pockets, it was put into the pocket. Then he took out a black packaging bag from his bag. Attorney Sue calculated according to the contract. The legal fees are approximately 100,000 yuan. I discussed it with my dad once. If it weren't for Attorney Sue, I'm afraid I'll have to stay old for at least another 10 years. He was given a suspended sentence, which is only a few months long. This is 120,000. I know these are trivial. This is as a way of thanking you. Please keep it. Wang Lai insisted on stuffing the money into my arms. In the house, Jiang Suifan was afraid I wouldn't accept it. Attorney Sue, who was helping out from the sidelines, this lawsuit really depends on you. This money compared, regarding other lawyers' fees, there are very few. Please accept it. Yes. You've helped our family so much. These thank you fees weren't much. I won't be polite either. When this case was heard on appeal, even the most eloquent lawyers can charge 188,000. I arranged for Wang Lai to be exempted from jail time. This amount of money is not much. Lawyers' fees, generally, it is based on the difficulty of the case. After seeing me accept the money, Wang Lai breathed a long sigh of relief. It seemed like she remembered something. I asked, Attorney Sue, are you familiar with legal matters related to marriage? I looked up at Wang Lai and, you still have to go through divorce proceedings. My eyes met Wang Lai's. He thought to himself that this was after they had just come out of the mud, preparing for a civil lawsuit to perk me up. Wang Lai wiggled her hips. The new sofa makes a sizzling sound. In response to my question, Wang Lai shook her head. Attorney Sue, I am currently on probation, afraid of getting into trouble by going to court. I asked you the purpose. I mainly wanted to introduce you to a divorce case. My childhood friend, he wants to file for divorce. Attorney Sue, if you are going to file for divorce, I can introduce you to my childhood friend. Wang Lai's recommendation was truly thoughtful. When there was a lawsuit, he immediately thought of himself. This person can get along. I didn't expect Wang Lai to come today. It also brought me an unexpected surprise. He immediately replied, of course, our law firm specializes in divorce cases. You should already know that. Right. Wang Lai scratched her head awkwardly. The last time Attorney Sue represented me in court, I was so impressed, subconsciously thought, Attorney Sue is a professional criminal lawyer. Yes, I am indeed a professional criminal lawyer. However, civil marriage is also a specialized field. I showed no sign of modesty whatsoever. What it is what it is. I was originally against. I have some understanding of various lawsuits. That's not entirely wrong. That's great. With Attorney Sue's help, my childhood friend's divorce case has a chance of success. Wang Lai's expression was excited, mixed with a hint of euphoria. For my childhood friend, he was unusually happy about the divorce. Can you tell me some stories about your childhood friend? I see you're concerned about your childhood friend getting a divorce. I'm quite happy. This means I've escaped from suffering. When I mention my childhood friend's divorce, it is to escape the sea of suffering. Wang Lai's expression instantly turned resentful. If he could get a divorce, it's more than just escaping from suffering. It's like ascending directly to heaven. Wang Lai punched him hard. Sorry for the sofa. Attorney Sue was too excited for a moment. Mainly my childhood friend's wife. I really don't know what to say. It's just too outrageous. Those really outrageous people online. Even more outrageous than that one. Attorney Sue, can you understand? That's why I was so angry. Mainly, I was standing up for my childhood friend. A hint of heartache flickered in Wang Lai's eyes. Yes, It's heartache. It is the heartache of what happened to his brother. I felt a pang of heartache when I saw my newly bought sofa. I just bought it brand new for 800 yuan. Don't rush to defend him. First, describe your childhood friend's situation. I straightened my suit a little. Lai Zuzhen was called in to do it. Wang Lai nodded emphatically, indicating that it was a good record. He then introduced the relevant situation. My childhood friend is an honest person. Programmers earn around 20,000 yuan per month. They are residents of Nandu who were relocated due to demolition. He owns 3 houses. His parents live in a set. He and his wife live in a set of houses. There was also a unit that was originally for rent, but his wife said a colleague wanted to rent it, so they stopped renting it out. I was thinking of renting it to his colleague, but unexpectedly, his wife secretly let his younger brother live in the house. His wife is from out of town. My family is a little poor. My childhood friend is about the same age, around 30 years old. Height 162 cm. Weight 55 kg. Salary 3,000. There are 2 younger brothers below. My parents don't have social security or anything like that. I usually do odd jobs, around 2,000 yuan a month. His 2 younger brothers, a junior high school dropout who lives off his parents, a year after graduating from university. I don't have a job yet. My childhood friend is a typical honest guy. He usually gives all his salary to his wife. His wife usually lives paycheck to paycheck. He even spent all of my childhood friend's salary. My childhood friend usually buys cigarettes by the stick, saving the money for 1 cigarette a day. The more I listened, the more outrageous it seemed. What was he after? Lai Zuzhen taking notes, while listening to Wang Lai's description. While frowning, he was a girl. I also felt that doing this was really going too far. This is no longer a marriage. This is treating the man like an ATM. Still the kind of hardworking ATM. The man has become a complete sucker. Lai Zuzhen's heart. This thought suddenly popped into my head. I really couldn't listen to it anymore. Let me interrupt Wang Lai and get to the point.